There was a Buddhist master, Shantideva, who wrote this text, The Way of the Bodhisattva, Bodhicharya Avatara, the Way of the Bodhisattva. And the Bodhisattva is an awakened being. Bodhi means awake, sattva is a being, so a bodhisattva. In the Mahayana, that's what a practitioner, works to be, to awaken, to be an awakened being. So the way of the Bodhisattva, he kind of describes what is the practice of a Bodhisattva, how to conduct, how to practice, how to live, And in one of those verses, in the chapter, I believe it's on patience, he talks about, he says, I'm paraphrasing here, wouldn't it be easier, if the world were covered in thorns, right? The world is covered in thorns or nails. Maybe not nails, but thorns. Wouldn't it be easier to put leather on our feet than to cover the entire world with leather?
Right.
Right? So just put some warachis on, some shoes, and go forward and help. Yeah. So today I wanted to talk about this quality that's very helpful in our practice. And I kind of mentioned it during the guiding, was this friendliness towards ourselves. And traditionally the word is metta. Some of you are familiar with metta or maitri in Sanskrit. And it translates to loving kindness. It's loving kindness, but really of kind of a loving, friendliness, friendly attitude. And that's kind of how we've been talking about here, in the way, talking about looking at these thoughts. That's really kind of more like the insight now, really looking at what's going on here, but with a friendly attitude, this loving kindness, this friendliness, openness. Friendliness is openness, right? When we think of somebody, wow, that guy's so friendly, so open. So that we kind of equate openness with that friendliness. So that's an important quality to cultivate, to generate. It's with us already. It's here already. It's here. But it's obscured by our habits, of self-protection. Right? Again, as I mentioned, just if you're looking at it from the science of the brain and human beings, we've been around for millions of years, and we have these habits of kind of being in nature, in the wild, of preservation, right? What is that? Flight, fear, or flight, or flight or fight, things like that. So we're still we have that wiring. We've evolved, but not completely. We still have those habits of reactivity, of self-preservation, which nothing's wrong with that. It's okay, right? If you see a car coming down, don't cross the street. But if we notice how much our daily interactions in the world with what we're experiencing is based on reactivity, kind of solidifying what we're experiencing. And if we like it, we crave it. We want it more. Don't change. If we don't like it, change this. Or we're neutral, kind of waiting to whether like or not like. So that's our habit. We like our thoughts. These thoughts are okay. Those thoughts I got to get rid of. I don't want them. So this is how we're habituated to function. And this is why when we come to meditation to learn, if we really kind of look at what brought me here, it's kind of, we're really curious and interested, maybe we're like, I have a lot of uncertainty, fear of uncertainty, I have a lot of aggression, I'm trying to find peace, and I've heard meditation. So that kind of, we were here for a reason, some conditioning that we have, whether it's an extreme conditioning, or just to habituate. Maybe we don't even know. Like for me, how I came to the path, I would just get into, I would call them states of funk. I would get in a funk for a few days or a week, and I didn't know why. But I was curious, why? What's going on? And, I had, everything seemed to be fine. I had a house, everything was good. I'm like, why is this? It was something that was like, there's got to be something more to this, So that's what kind of brought me to meditation. And then through meditation I learned about the Buddha's teachings, and then that kind of opened the door for me there. So, but going back to what's important is to have this friendly, gentle attitude with ourselves as we do this exploration, as we commit to coming here Sundays. Maybe it's great, sometimes it's great, and then we go home and then we begin a practice, and then one day it's like, oh, the stuff that comes up, and we're like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this, But that's practice. That is really meditation. That's, some of us, it helps us, brings our, as I mentioned, that training in non-distraction kind of brings the mind to settle at ease, at peace, and we have moments of, this moment of peace, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, wherever it is we're doing a meditation. And for some of us, that might be our practice the whole time. But we're really just touching on the practice. We can go so much deeper. Looking into, what if I just take my attention off the breath and look at this thought that I don't like, Now that is the object of meditation. As I mentioned, we're looking at the breath, and we're not thinking, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. We're just, the body's breathing, but we're just resting our attention on the breath. You could say, without thinking, I'm breathing, not breathing, breathing, exhaling. So the same thing we could do with whatever appears in the mind, especially difficult thoughts, difficult imprints in the mind that come up. But that takes time. That's why we train with the breath. First, train in non-distraction. Because if we right away jump into, I'm going to look at, this event that I have, I'm not talking to my brother, I'm going to look at this, but then we'll get distracted. If we really look into it, if we engage with those thoughts, we'll go into, but it wasn't my fault, it was his fault, blah, 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 and we'll get into a story. So we're not just looking at it as we're looking at the breath without, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. We're just, from that training with the breath and the mind settling and we're stable, now we can take our attention off the breath and look at everything, sound, thought. It's cold in here, the AC, and we respond, we put our jacket on, And the same with whatever appears in the mind, especially difficult things. Because now we've developed some stability. The mind's abiding in peace, settled, okay. Now in this settledness, let's look at what's going on, the content of the mind. And that's, sounds, feelings, the sensation, and then those thoughts, those heavy thoughts that will come up. Maybe during the breath practice, those thoughts were coming up, and as I said, you find yourself entangled, come back to the breath, where it's like, breath. The thought. Get a little taste, back to, and you come back to the breath. That's presence. You're here, here, here. But as I mentioned, as you begin to develop and the mind is settled, now you can take your attention. Now the object of meditation is that event, those thoughts, or that imprint in the mind, that wave. It's really just a wave. How do waves happen? In conditions, right? Wind, pole, moon, whatever. And sometimes it's flat, just like the mind. The mind's at ease. But sometimes the conditions change, waves. So now we look at the wave. But we look at it without engaging, entangling with it. Just from that training and stability. we can look at that thought. And with loving kindness, with friendliness, noticing perhaps there's the energy that comes up with this uncomfortable thought. Making friends with that energy, as I mentioned during the guide, make friends with whatever appears. The sensation, the feeling, make friends with the feeling. Making friends means being open, and we look, if there's a feeling, we look, oh, energy. Stay with it, breathing. It changed, right? Most of the time we'll see it moved on. Now there might be a sound and your attention's there. Now that's the objective. So what do we begin to discover? That, oh, these are just appearances, just waves, and they come back into the ocean. But sometimes, as it comes up and we're looking at it, and we have a hard time with it, and then we're hard on ourselves. God, I did it again, I can't do this is too hard. Or really need, by the end of this week, I want to accomplish that, We're hard, we're tough on ourselves. And what is that? Then from that state of mind, that way of being, what happens as we integrate into the world, integrate our lives? We have that same attitude towards others, expectation, hard on another, I'm a good Buddhist, bad Buddhist, I'm doing the good thing, they're doing bad things, Judgment. That judgment comes from being hard on ourselves. Maybe we don't even know we're being hard on ourselves, but if we really explore, as I mentioned in our practice, our former practice, this is what we're looking at. We'll notice, we'll see, oh, this comes from that self being hard on this one here. Through those, I want a result from this. But what if we just begin with this friendliness, friendly attitude to our experience, the conditions, whatever is appearing. Maybe it's a neighbor next to us during meditation who's snoring, and we're all irritated. Notice that state of mind. For me, that was a real transformation in my practice. To rather than look at what we perceive as out there, thoughts are coming in. Are they? So we think that out there is bothering me. Is it? When I started looking at my mind, I started looking at mind rather than the perception, the perception of out here. Because maybe the person next to this friend here, no problem with the snoring. So what does that also tell you? That tells you that, I don't like this snoring. There's nothing solid, fixed, unchanged there. Unchanging. It's just a condition. It's just an appearance. We label it, I like it, I don't like it. But in truth, nothing's happening. No thing is happening. Unchanging thing. It's a conditioned appearance, dependent on other conditions. If it was truly irritating, it would irritate the person next to me. Maybe it doesn't bother them. Maybe they feel it reminds me of my partner when they're snoring at night. And it brings a loving sense to us. So what does that tells you? There's no truth in irritation. There's no external irritation. It's the mind that's perceiving this experience. I like it, I don't like it. So when that happens, we apply loving kindness, this friendliness to us. Not friendliness, you could be, the loving kindness to this experience is loving kindness to the individual who's snoring. Being kind to ourselves is being kind to the world. Being gentle with ourselves, with what we're experiencing, is being gentle to the world. We also say, gentleness and precision. The practice is gentleness and precision. So that friendliness, that don't be so hard on ourselves. And the precision to look and see what's going on here. So yeah, very important. For some of you might have heard me talk about this before, but it's loving kindness is very important to our practice. As you could say we're training our minds, we're mind training. In this formal practice of sitting for 30 minutes, 20 minutes. And Sunday afternoons here, it's a 30-minute sit. Most of you are familiar with that and used to that. But, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes. Throughout your day, if you have a regular meditation practice, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you can do, And we call that formal practice, right? Formal practice, posture, breath, all this, training. But in the world, when things get tough, we can't find a corner and where's my bell? Where's my cushion? I need some incense. No, we have to step forward. So it's not about the posture, sitting on a cushion, even though all this is important to train in this way. We're preparing in this way. But really the important thing is awareness in the moment, in the experience. What's happening? Are we looking or are we holding? Are we pushing away? Just look. And we'll notice we're either grasping or pushing away. Don't judge yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Just, there it goes again. And language is very important. Listen to how you describe your experience. What's the difference between there I go again and there it goes again? Oh, there it goes again. There I go again. It's identifying me, I, this one. There I go again. When we change that to there it goes again. What go there? What? It's like it's just an energy, just an experience, not my experience. The more we kind of identify as my experience, there I go again. I'm no good. Or even, I'm uncertain, I'm anxious. Just notice how we talk. Take the I out of it. And you experience, anxiety, interesting. Oh, fear, interesting. And then precision to look, fear. Fear of uncertainty. Ooh, uncertainty, interesting. Just really kind of look at how you describe the experience, how we talk. That's been helpful for me, just kind of making that shift. We still do it, But even when we do, we just notice, I said I. I'm here, It's okay. But sometimes just look at language, how we're talking to ourselves, how we're describing the experience, Experience. But through all this, with all this friendliness, have this gentle attitude. And I see so much of that here coming to Long Beach meditation, the Sangha, you guys here, folks who keep this going, the volunteers, there's a lot of friendliness, loving kindness. Not to score points, but just being love, being love. staying in love is another good friend of mine, Franz, mentioned. Can we stay in love? Not in judgment, not in fear, not in anxiety, not in aggression. Can we stay in love? Gentleness, love and kindness. And that begins with us. Really, we might say, okay, I'm going to go out of here and I'm going to start, okay, where can I practice loving kindness? Who can I give this to? Give it to yourself first. Give it to this one. Start here. And from there, it's just like wildflowers, right? Like Judy, I'm sure you know, like some things you grow in the garden, just like, I can't stop it. It just goes wild. That's how our friendliness or loving kindness should be, like one of those weeds. But a weed is just a label. It's just a living thing. It's alive and awake and just growing. That's how our friendliness should be. Take it out of the pot. You buy a plant, you bring it home, you keep it in the pot, or you can put it out in the garden and let it. That's what we should do with our loving kindness. First start in the potted plant. Here, we're a potted plant right now. Develop this friendliness, starting with how you're relating to your experience, your thoughts, your expectations of wanting a result, self-improvement. I want to change. I want to get rid of this. Just maybe that's our motivation, our intention to come to meditation, and that's okay. A lot of us are like that. But as we learn, as we cultivate, we'll see. It's as a friend of mine would just say, meditation, it's not what you think. But it starts off like that. And then as we practice, and we begin to open. So now, this potted flower, this potted plant, we take it out, put it out in the garden, and let it grow. Let it expand. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your friendly attentiveness. Your loving kindness.
Hi, my name's Tim. It's the generosity of people like you that make these videos possible. If you had some benefit from the video and feel an urge to donate, you can make a donation here. If you're interested in seeing more because you're curious, you can click here and see more videos. And if you're interested in subscribing to Long Beach Meditation, you can click here. Thank you so much for your attention. Take care.